Welcome to Game Crunch Game of the Year 2023. With Brandon.
But those same people are probably eating paste.
With Nick.
Alright, cool. Let's fucking do this.
And Mike.
Dude, he liked it when it came out, and you know how we are.
There are many great games, but there can only be one. There can only be one Game of the Year.
Welcome to Game Crunch Game of the Year 2023. My name is Mike Anastasia. With me today we have Brandon.
Hey.
And Nick.
Howdy.
And we're here to talk about Game of the Year. Best games of 2023. It is
There
the
was
time.
a lot of them.
Huh?
There was a lot of
There
them.
were a lot of games that came out that year.
Like a lot of best games of
I
2023.
remember it like it was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly.
So what's the deal for Game of the Year? Well, we got a bunch of different categories.
Yep.
Each one we're gonna knock it down to
3.
basically first, second, and third place.
Yeah.
And everything else is kind of tossed by the wayside. So if there's any spoilers in a particular category, we'll let you know. I don't think anything particularly jumps out right here, but eventually there will be some.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
you guys ready to get started?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. Best new
Yeah,
series
quick.
entry. Let's see what we got. Alan Wake 2, Super Mario Wonder, Pikmin 4, and Tears of the Kingdom. That's what it is. Legend of Zelda.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I have only played one of these for like 10 minutes.
I've played 2 of them, but I don't care. I could still give my thoughts from what I've seen. I think
you
you
fair.
could too.
most of
So,
them.
you know.
I
Yeah.
only played Mario Wonder, and I only played it for about 10-15 minutes, and I'm like, yep, this is a
Game of
Mario
the
game.
year.
This is a Mario game where I can become an elephant and just fuck up some peanuts and, like, apparently get really, really high and go on, like, insane trips. But no, I wanted to play Pikmin 4 this year. That didn't happen.
Mhm.
I really wanted to play Alan Wake 2. That didn't happen. And then I don't play Zelda because... But, you know.
Yeah, my pick are the first 3. Let's go.
Well, don't you want to say anything about them?
No. No, I'm just kidding. No, but
Just take my word for it.
my picks are probably Alan Wake 2, Mario Wonder, because of all the new stuff that I've seen from it. Yes, I have not played it myself personally, but I have seen enough stuff to be like, okay, that's pretty neat. That's pretty cool. And most of my buddies ended up playing it, really enjoyed it. Pikmin 4, you seem to really gush about this one, Mike, so I'm guessing it'd be pretty good. And I just don't want to give Tears of the Kingdom any nominations. That's all.
I really thought one of you was going to fight for Tears of the Kingdom for anything. Did both of you not like that, or was it just Brandon?
Just Brandon.
Just Brandon. Okay.
It's not that I don't like it. It's not that I
You
don't like
liked
it.
when it came out, and you know how.
No. Okay, here we go. We're already starting. We already fucking starting. All right. No. I have nothing against Tears of the Kingdom as a game. As it being the best new series entry, I have a lot against Tears of the Kingdom because it's just the same thing. Again, with more map and more stuff to do. But it's the same thing.
But how's that different
my
from
problem.
Super Mario Wonder? It's
Or
like,
Pikmin.
hey, here's
Pikmin is just new map with
Well-
GameCube now.
Okay, so
Yeah,
here's
that's
the
true.
thing. The Super Mario Wonder one, at least from everything I've seen, it seems to have like a different kind of art direction and like an artistic approach to the actual gameplay just in general, especially with those like special levels that I've seen and that you mentioned as well and talked about. And that seemed like a whole different like ball game compared to Tears of the Kingdom, in my opinion. And it looked like it was a much better Mario game than the last few that we've gotten. So that was my thoughts, aside from Odyssey, of course. But I'm talking about 2D Mario
Oh,
games.
yeah, no, Odyssey is still the best Mario on the Switch.
It's still like the best Switch game.
Far and wide. Actually, I lied. I shouldn't say that because Galaxy is playable on the Switch, and Galaxy will.
I still think
always
3D
be my
World's probably even better than all of those.
Oh fuck! You're right. Damn it.
Yeah, sorry, sucker.
Maybe I'm gonna take back what I said then. Although you can possess Bowser in the hat one, and become the Hat Man.
Yeah. But I don't know. I obviously put a lot of the stuff that's in this category. Mario Wonder, I like it. And honestly, if I'm going to pick for 3, I probably would go for Pikmin, Mario, and Alan Wake anyways.
That's right.
Mhm.
But just saying, I don't really think that Mario Wonder offers that much new compared to, like, other 2D Marios comparatively to new stuff that Tears of the Kingdom offers over its predecessor. I mean, Mario Wonder's fun. It is a nice, like, aesthetic improvement, and the Wonder Flower shit is trippy. But really, at the end of the day, it's a 2D Mario, and it's exactly what you expect. And in some aspects, some people say it may have taken a step back. Primarily multiplayer, like same screen, is not as, I guess before it would kind of, let me see if I can explain this in a way that makes sense to listeners. So in the other 2D Mario games, the screen would kind of position itself to best fit all 4 players at a time. This one tends to focus on whoever that like main player is, and everyone else kind of has to stay in that.
I actually hate that.
Yeah, that is kind of annoying.
That does sound kind of annoying. Yeah, okay, that's fine.
But it's got that kind of weird asynchronous online multiplayer, which is fun, but it's not really, I don't know, it's not really multiplayer. I don't really know what to call it. It is, you're playing with other people, but you're not really doing anything with them. It's kind of cool though. You have ghosts that can kind of go around and like help you out with stuff. So yeah, because they'll be like, oh, this hidden block is here, or you need a power up. Here you go. So you're really kind of, hoping for the goodwill of other people if you're playing with them. It was great for the last stage of the game because they can help you with like checkpoints and stuff. Like if you die, you can kind of get your ghost over to them and resurrect yourself. So that's nice. But in terms of like the full kind of like package, like I said, it is a 2D Mario at the end of the day. You know what you're getting. There's not really any major surprises there. Tears of the Kingdom, I know we've talked about a lot this year as well. I do think that the physics, like kind of puzzle building, like incredible machine thing that they have going on, I think it worked really well. I think they do some really neat stuff with it when it works. And I think it really opens up a lot of creativity in how to solve like some either like traditional puzzles or like environmental puzzles you may have created for yourself. So I think that kind of stuff's there. But at the end of the day, it really does kind of use the skeleton that was left for you from Breath of the Wild. So for better or worse, there's some stuff that I think they did really well. I think there's some stuff that they could have probably improved on from the previous game. And I also, and from what it sounds like interview-wise too, find it very hard to believe that they'd be able to like build off of this in terms of whatever's next. So they're going to have to lose stuff to build stuff for whatever the next Zelda game is. So
I was going to say, it did sound like they were just kind of completely moving on from this whole like version of Zelda into something else, like new.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to do kind of like the, kind of lowest kind of denominator to kind of change things up, really, just hey, like let's just do a different Hyrule. You can just flip up the map and keep the same mechanics. But I have a feeling that they're probably going to upend it quite a bit going into whatever is here. So
yeah.
Pikmin 4, though, excellent. So it really takes everything that you've known and loved from Pikmin and builds on it. I think the only thing it doesn't necessarily have out of the box is challenge. Post-game stuff does reward you with some challenge stuff, but not a lot. But it is the biggest levels, has the most collectibles, has a lot of really neat features that people who have played the series since the beginning will love. Does kind of retcon the first game a little bit, strangely.
Interesting. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it is a great game if you're looking for, just kind of like a fun strategy game with lots to explore. It's great for that. Also has kind of a weird multiplayer thing with it too. I don't remember what it is though. Something funny about split screen. I don't remember. Yeah, it's not like anyone's out there like, oh my god, do you want to play multiplayer Pikmin 4? No, nobody is, because it's not that exciting.
I'm just being a contrarian at this point. Hey, you want to play multiplayer Pikmin 4?
Yeah, no,
I don't.
Nobody ever. And granted, they could probably do a cool multiplayer Pikmin 4, but that is not what they did here. It's just like a very specific mode. It's that Dandori mode. Yeah.
Pikmin Battle Royale. I mean, it writes itself. 100 Pikmin.
battle royale would be fantastic. That is not what this game is.
That's unfortunate.
So, yeah. Trying to think what else there is there. No, I mean, I think that's the big thing. It's definitely the biggest, best Pikmin game that exists. So if you've enjoyed any of the other ones, this game is better overall.
Okay.
I feel like that's like not even like subjective. I feel like that's almost like objective fact.
It's
like
just
there's
how
just
it
so
is.
much
Yeah.
more.
I also feel like coming from 3 because I didn't really care for 3 at all. It just was like meh to me. So maybe...
I think this fixed a lot of the stuff that 3 really didn't do well with.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that I feel like has been missing since like Pikmin 1, 2 is like any sort of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Urgency. There's no urgency. Like Pikmin 1 had lots of urgency, like, hey, you got 30 days to find this shit or you're dead. And now it's just kind of like, well, whatever. I guess we're trapped here, so you might as well get some treasures. So that seems to be kind of like the MO for the last 2 games. The last one was there was no treasures, it was just fruit. They're like, hey man, see that cantaloupe? You should go get it. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I don't know if I'm like the minority in this, but my favorite part of Pikmin is like stumbling upon like a fucking just a Game Boy Advance sitting in the brush.
Yeah.
And like, oh, look at this ancient piece of technology. I'm like, shut up! I remember when that came out.
Yeah, I like the post-apocalyptic aspect.
Yes, yeah, no, I love that so much about it.
And so you get a lot more of that here because, like I said, there's more collectibles in this game than there was. I think what they said was all 3 games combined. So yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of stuff to do there, and some of it is like, you know, they give you some cheap collectibles, like, hey, look at this is obviously in plain sight without any obstacles to get it. Like it's just you literally just need enough Pikmin to get it. And that's it. Sometimes it's that easy because they just had so many. But then obviously lots of times they have a lot more skill or a lot more specific combinations of Pikmin that you have to have. So yeah. Yeah. I guess that's Pikmin in a nutshell.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Are we gone through all of them now?
No, so I don't know if you had any.
Alex with Alan Wake 2. Yeah, I can add some stuff for Alan Wake 2. So, Alan Wake 2, I think, does something very different from the past games that we had, both Control and Alan Wake. It goes much more survival horror in where like you have to manage your ammo and this, that, and the other, and there's lots of puzzles you have to solve, kind of akin to something like a Silent Hill or, you know, Resident Evil, those sort of games. And I really think it works very, very well. The actual horror aspects of it are incredible and legitimately unnerved me in some points and times. And if you know anything about me, I love horror. So if something unnerved me, well, shit. No.
Pretty spooky by me.
Yeah, basically. And I think that they did so much by making it a multiverse thing that actually fits very, very well, that it being a new entry in this series kind of heightened not only this game and this series, but what could come next, because of the fact that they kind of rolled up all of their series into this game and made it a multiverse with this one. I thought that was super neat. And yeah, that's why I thought this was one of the best new entries in a franchise. There you go.
All I know about Alan Wake 2 to this date is that they do a funky dance number in it.
Alan Wake 2 literally is a sequel to Control, Alan Wake, and Quantum Break.
Well, I was hoping maybe later on you might get into this. I don't know if this is slight spoiler territory, if this was just a thing that was on the internet. But there was like a video where it was Alan Wake being interviewed on like a late night TV show.
Yeah.
And Sam Lake was there.
Yes.
And they were like, "Oh, this is your Max Payne," and I was like, "What the fuck is going on? What is happening here right now?" Actually, and then what threw me for a loop, right, is I never realized Sam Lake was the character model for Max Payne, and I always like that face from Max Payne has been like burned into my fucking medulla for decades, right? Because I forget what game disc it was. I think it was my Roller Coaster Tycoon disc when I was a kid. They had an advertisement for Max Payne on there. I just remember seeing this guy's goofy-looking face, Gilbert Godfrey-looking ass, and I was like, "Who the fuck is this?" And like now it's like it's
Like that.
weird. Well, no, in the picture, it's very like he just ate something sad. Like look up Max Payne 1, Max Payne's character model. It looks like he just ate a lemon. Okay, that's all I'm saying. It was weird how like all that's like full. I love that. I love like a super connected universe like that. So now I'm like, damn.
Yeah, I don't want to talk too much about it because we'll definitely getting into it later on as well when we talk about more categories. But I will just say I do legitimately believe Alan Wake 2 surpassed everything that they built before this game in every way, shape, and form, and that's why I put it in the best new series entry.
No, that's fair.
Yeah, very fair. All right, what are we thinking?
I mean, this is.
I know my pick. It's easy.
What's your pick, Mike? Because I've only played one of these for like less than a coffee break, so I don't know.
I mean, of the games I played, I probably would pick Pikmin 4. I definitely understand that a lot of people like Alan Wake 2, though. So, I mean, I understand that one takes it because obviously they've done a lot with it.
My pick's Alan Wake 2, obviously. But yeah.
Okay. So now it's down to me.
Yeah.
And I gotta pick a game that I've not played either. Damn. I guess just because of what it's done for the whole entire universe, Alan Wake 2, probably, because of how, like you said, Brandon, it kind of like connects everything together. And like that's really fucking cool.
It is super cool.
So, but Pikmin, like, I still really want to play Pikmin, mostly because I love Ochi. I love that Ochi exists.
Oh, Ochi's great.
You know, I mentioned before, I haven't really sat down and played all the way through a Pikmin game. And I really want to play Pikmin 4, but I have a lot of things on my plate right now that I'm working on.
I was going to say what you could do, because they did... This did not make our remaster or so this didn't make our remaster or remake category.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because that category is super stacked. Yeah, so Pikmin 1 and 2 got re-released this year, and like...
Yeah, Mike told me about that. We actually talked about it on the podcast.
Definitely should play
those. And I brought
those.
up at the same time, I was like, I haven't really sat down and played all the way through a Pikmin game.
Yeah,
like,
Pikmin is like one of the games that I always talk about, like, if we're talking
one of those
like
games where if people like Pikmin, they really like Pikmin.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay. It's kind of got like the Splatoon vibe too. If you like Splatoon, you really like Splatoon.
Yep. I'll agree with you. I won't go into details, but I will agree with you.
I do like Splatoon, by the way.
I also love Splatoon.
I'm not on that whole really like Splatoon.
I bought Big Man and the other two characters when they became amiibos. That motherfucker was big as hell. Don't let the name fool you.
Oh yes, he is. He's like, I think he's probably the longest amiibo.
I think it's the biggest amiibo that I own.
It should be. I think the only other one that comes close that I can think of off the top of my head is one of the newer Monster Hunter ones.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Big Man's got a hell of a wingspan.
Yeah, he does. So,
what about Sephiroth's sword?
Wait, did that amiibo even come out?
Yeah. The only amiibo that are for Smash that's not out yet is Sora, and that's next month.
Let me see, Sephiroth. I need somebody to make a custom amiibo because the sword for his regular amiibo not nearly long enough.
No.
No. It's barely fuck you. It's got to be like halfway across my house.
Well, I'm sure someone has.
Yeah.
So we're giving it to Alan Wake 2 with runner-up Pikmin 4 and what is the third game?
That's the question. What's the third game?
Oh, I guess third, Mario Wonder. I ain't giving it to Zelda.
Fair.
I'm not giving it to Zelda nuts and bolts. Get the fuck out of here.
That's good. That one's good.
So yeah, best new series entry goes to Alan Wake 2. Runners up, Mario Wonder, and Pikmin 4. Y'all ready for the next category?
New challenger approaching. That's the way he said that made me think of like something from a Capcom game or SNK.
I'm about to fight somebody.
Yeah.
Next category.
Go crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Next category, best remake remaster. This was a hot year for that. So I don't know if you guys even remember. I added this category in when did I do this? Yesterday?
I think
was
so,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I was
I
like,
thought you were gonna meant like originally. I'm gonna say because this has always been one, to my knowledge.
we've had it, we've taken it off. It wasn't here last year.
We took it off
No.
like 3 times.
So,
This year,
yeah.
though, it was kind of deserved.
Yeah,
Oh well, yeah.
and I think it really came up when we were talking about the Game Awards because we're like,
Yeah.
there's so many remakes and remasters that this is the year to do it. And yeah, it really just I don't think you could avoid it. And there's even more that aren't even on here.
Yeah, and I think it's good to have it have its own category because we were talking about the Game Awards as well, and we were like, can you really give a Game of the Year nominee to a remake/remaster? Can you? And I think giving it its own category is like a much better option.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anyways, though, so here's our
This one's gonna
nominees.
be hard for me. Go ahead.
Dead Space, Resident Evil 4, Super Mario RPG, Advance Wars Reboot Camp, and Metroid Prime Remastered. So
I've got my 2 picks.
Oh man, it's so hard for me because you literally put 3 of my all-time favorite games in the same year.
Well, there needs to only be 3 winners. So
Yeah,
there's
but
only
I
one
know-
winner.
okay, only
there's-
1 winner, 2 runner-ups.
I know one of yours is Resident Evil 4 though, Brent.
Oh fuck yes, that's my number 1, my dude.
I've never played Resident Evil 4.
I'm
so, like,
sorry. It's so
I know.
good.
No,
It's
I know.
so good. You could literally play the remake and still be fine. You should
For sure.
play the remake.
No, for sure. In my own head, I actually know how I would place the 3 that I particularly like on this list.
Yeah.
And that would be Mario RPG first, Dead Space second, Prime Remaster third. I think in one of my visits, did I ever talk about my feelings about the Dead Space remake at all? I don't remember.
Yes, I don't remember what you said, but I remember you talking about it.
Okay.
I remember you being like, I was screaming at my radio when Mike was saying that 4K is not a big deal.
Well, yeah, so that was when I was listening to you talk about it because you're like, I don't think I need a 4K TV, and literally I was in my car like, what's his name from Interstellar, like, you need to play this in 4K, because it's fucking beautiful. So like, the remake of Dead Space, super beautiful. Obviously, like they knocked it out of the park visually, audio wise. They really fucking stepped up their game. My only main complaint with that is that they tried to expand upon the characters and the story a little bit, and I felt like it kind of fell flat on its face a little bit, only because a lot of the newer missions that they added to it were like fetch quests, kind of, and it was just like go from A to B to C to D, where I feel like you could have just kind of maybe put like dead drops or like recordings or shit. You know what I mean? It just kind of was like silly. But like overall, like super good. Love it. I want them to continue remaking the Dead Space games and stop at 3. Just completely redo 3.
Except the DLC. The DLC is very good.
Oh, except yeah.
I thought you never played the DLC.
I haven't. You've told me all about it, and that just sounds awesome.
It's great.
I trust you because you like Dead Space. Like, you like Dead Space a lot, Mike.
I know. I will say. No, finish your thought. Sorry.
I was gonna say, and if you're telling me that the DLC for one of the most not only Dead Space games but psychological horror game sequels is good, then I believe you. You know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah. No, it is
for sure.
And the way you described it is like that's fucking chef's kiss.
Yeah. That is good. I would say, honestly, I think I'm in a different camp. I would rather them just jump straight to like Dead Space 4. Just kind of.
That's also fine, actually.
Yeah, that's fine.
I feel like the perfect world, it would be like they announced Dead Space 2 remaster and Dead Space 4.
Yeah.
Have one team doing the remaster for Dead Space.
We could still get Dead Space 3 in between the
figure it out. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll just
let them have some
notes.
time.
We'll just do cliff notes. It's fine. Yeah. And then for the other 2, I mean, Mario RPG is one of my favorite Square IPs ever.
Yeah, it is a really good
I love it. My only issue with this is that it ran like Duty TV mode.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck was going on with that.
I do. You want to know what it is?
Sure.
It's Unity.
I was about to say, was it because it's Unity?
Yeah, it's Unity.
That's what I had a feeling of.
It does not like Unity.
No. So luckily for me, my Pro
Which
controller.
honestly, incredible remake to be using Unity of all things. That's
Yeah,
actually like very impressive.
kind of weird. My Pro controller kind of died on me halfway through me playing that, so I was defaulted to playing it handheld mode. And as soon as I started playing in handheld mode, I was like, "Oh, this is so much fucking better." Like, I'm not dropping frames. Like, I was walking through. I already forget the name of the first fucking town. The mushroom fucking town. Uh, and I'm just dropping frames like crazy, just walking. I'm like,
Oh
this
yeah,
is going to be a fantastic experience if I can't just walk through somewhere briskly. Like, I'm going to go get a fight with QX and be like dropping 20 frames. So that's my only knock against it.
when it
But
first happened, I thought I had just got a new monitor, so I was like, "Is my monitor fucked?"
oh
Nope.
yeah, no, you're like, wait, what? So quickly played that handheld, and then same thing with Prime Remaster. But Prime Remaster, I feel like, is got a bit more of a higher quality to it. I didn't have any sort of technical issues with that one. And if you know me, you know I fucking love Metroid and Metroid Prime in general.
Oh yeah.
Um, so those are my three. I did
Uh-huh.
not play Advanced Wars Reboot Camp, and I did not play Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
I would concede RE4 to one of my three, but I also
I'm
need to know what Mike has to
I'm
say
all in
about
on
these.
RE4. Just saying.
No, I know. In a perfect world, we all have one different, and then pick from those three.
I think the problem is, Nick. I think my top three for this one are the same as yours.
Either
So
It's a shame.
yeah, because mine would be Dead Space, Mario RPG, and Metroid Prime as well. So the only difference is I did play all of Advance Wars, and I'll sacrifice that off the list in a second. And Resident Evil 4, I played the demo, and I just was not a fan. I don't know. I love original Resident Evil 4, but I was just not enjoying the demo enough to not play the full game. So
Shame.
yeah,
I'm upset by that. I think RE4 in some aspects is better than the original. The
I'm
remake.
sure it is. You would hope so. It's been like 20 years.
No,
You
what I
think they
mean
would
is
fix some shit.
they changed enough stuff that like it's still the same game, but it's like enhanced, like as it should be, that sort of thing. And it feels different enough that it's like, oh, okay, this is neat.
Yeah.
Like there's a few aspects, like for one, Ashley's not as fucking annoying anymore. I'm not having to fucking babysit her as much as I was in the original game, which is
Okay.
very good and really adds points to RE4 remake in my opinion because of that. On top of that, the like new ways that you can travel through the different landscapes in like the different parts of the world in RE4 feels a lot more fluid and like it flows better than the original in some cases. I really liked how they had just like pretty much updated everything to the point where it was like this is very different looking, but I know what you're going for. It almost had that perfect blend of like this is what I thought the game looked back in the day on GameCube. It had that kind of feeling to it, and I think that's what captured me so much with RE4 that it was like, okay, I know what we're doing. I know the part that we're at currently, and I see what we're doing, but it looks completely different. But this is what I would imagine it looking like in my head if I had played it then. If I had played this, like this is what I imagine in my head from what I played back in the day, more so than what it actually looks like. When you look at something and you're like, oh god, it looks like that, and you have those moments. And this game really had the moment where it was like, oh yeah, no, this is what the game was like. And then you look at what the game actually was like, and you're like, oh god, that was what the game was like. Okay, I mean, it still looks good, but like this is a night and day difference. And just in general, I had a fucking blast playing RE4, and I thought it was one of the like a super incredible remake where they put a lot of effort and time into it, and it felt like its own thing while still feeling, like it was being true to the source material. And I yeah, that's really it. My picks RE4, Mario RPG, and then probably Dead Space in that order. But yeah. I would say, do you think whatever your third place is, we could at least drop that and have RE4 there? Because I do feel like out of all of these, aside from probably Dead Space, that they put the most effort into making this a remake.
Yeah.
As opposed to several
really early for negotiating, Brandon.
It sure is. It sure is. But I'm just saying, like, I don't want Metroid Prime Remaster to win. All they did was port it and then make it HDified. Like, okay, cool. Yeah,
You're right.
awesome.
It's definitely out of all the ones on this. I mean, I didn't play Advance Wars, but Prime definitely is the most phoned in one in the sense of like, did they do much to really change anything up? No. But then again,
It's not so much about me
why mess with perfection?
bargaining
what I
right
mean?
now, Mike. It's so much about me being like, let me explain the reasoning why I don't think this one should be on the list and this one actually should. That's more. Or less
I don't know. You literally were just like, why don't
No.
you drop your third place choice and
Yeah,
put in
exactly,
Resident Evil?
because it's bad.
What you buying?
What are you
Yeah.
selling? You know what I'm selling? I'm selling Resident Evil 4 Remake to you guys as being in third place at least.
Yeah. So I do agree though with you on Metroid Prime Remastered, and that was going to be kind of one of my kind of points to bring up. Is that probably out of everything on this list, you're right. It really does not bring anything new to the table, and they had some opportunities, obviously, to improve. I think some of the weak areas of Metroid Prime, and they did not. And some of those areas wouldn't even necessarily need like a lot of fleshing out. Like even just making that stupid Chozo like hunt at the end, whatever that thing is called, making that less obtuse and like more easy to grasp for new people probably would be very beneficial. I think I just saw one this last week where someone's like, I'm lost in Metroid Prime, I don't know what to do, and they're like, go to the Chozo, like the crater area, and scan the things, and they will tell you where to go find these stupid little keys.
I will say though, in that vein, right, that is a very Metroid thing of just kind of like, how can I say
that's just Metroid in general.
That's just Metroid in general, where it's come on.
Metroid is
backtracking is, but not being like, hey, here's a central location where you need to read these gradually opening clues to find these keys to get to this last area. None of the previous ones did it. And
all I'm saying is if I did not have a walkthrough for Super Metroid, I'd be in there with an arm cannon fighting for my fucking life, because I have no idea where I'm supposed to go otherwise. So, I mean, like, in that sense, I agree with what you're saying. If you're remastering a game that maybe has a part that did not age well, for sure, let's tidy it up a little bit. Let's make it a little bit more bearable. Let's do what we can to maybe make it more playable. But I will say on the same token, like, I don't know, it's kind of like a Metroid thing.
My thought on it, though, like, I'm not saying like completely revamp it, because this is a remaster. So I mean the bar is pretty low. Like they're trying to make a budget title, so they're not going to go through and be like, well, let's rework the final key thing so it's more intuitive. But even if they just added like the hint system to make it a little bit more obvious what you're supposed to do, I think that would be beneficial. If they made it so that the keys were not like so completely obtuse to find that you might find them a little bit more like naturally as you're exploring, that might be a little bit beneficial for it. But they just left it just kind of like, well, hope you can figure it out. So that, I think that's probably, like I said, there's lots of areas that they could polish up in here, and I've been on the record, I have had issues with Metroid Prime since its launch, and they've not really done anything meaningful to kind of change that flow through, and people love it, and that's fine. But like I said, there are some issues here that I think are deeper than the well, it's Metroid, and I feel like a lot of people do like to hand wave the well, it's Metroid. Yeah, but these issues are deeper than the well, it's Metroid. Like there's stuff like Super Metroid doesn't pull a lot of this shit here that they try to do.
No.
So
NES Metroid for sure had me fighting for my life.
Which one?
The original, the NES, the first Metroid game?
Oh, yeah. No, that game's a piece of shit.
That one, I'm just like, I don't know what, like, Zero Mission's great in comparison, but, like, I talked to my brother about it one time. I was like, I vow to never play NES Metroid again unless it's Zero Mission. He's like, why? I'm like, because, what? What do you mean, why? I feel like I'm, like, slowly stabbing myself to death playing that game.
Yeah, no, I will never play that game again. I did it once, and that was enough. And Zero Mission is so much better. There's no reason to ever go back to.
With that being said, though, I guess I would be okay with. I mean, obviously, we got to figure out which goes where, but the three being Dead Space, RE4, and Mario RPG. And for me personally, in that round of three, Dead Space would get it, probably.
Oh, okay. My pick would have been probably Mario RPG out of the round.
Really?
Yeah. So,
Expand upon that.
so my yeah, I will expand upon that. My actual pick would have been Resident Evil 4. You already know that and how I feel about that. But my secondary pick would be Mario RPG because of the fact that it is probably the most faithful recreation that we could have gotten to Mario RPG, period. And it's great. Like, I mean, they added more stuff, as we've talked about on the podcast. And then on top of all of that, the game itself is just, it's the way I remember it.
Oh, for sure.
And it plays, and I actually have the ability to play Super Mario RPG on modern consoles.
See,
it's awesome.
For spoilers, this for me is a high placer in a different category, only because of like the weird spot that this IP existed. Especially because it felt like both Nintendo and Square Enix would not like even acknowledge its Jesus Christ, its existence for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you're making this hard because you're not wrong. But like Dead Space 2 is also a very faithful recreation.
How does Mike feel? Because you told me how it wasn't one by having them add new content where you have to backtrack and go from point A to point B. And
no. So not that it's not a faithful recreation. They just tried to add some things to it to expand upon it, and I felt like that just kind of fell. Like I'm okay with that being a thing that exists in this remake. I just feel like the way they went about it felt a little flat.
I see.
You know, you're also comparing. I'm not saying this in like a bad way, but like Dead Space has a lot more lore than Mario RPG. Mario RPG is like, hey, this puppet with a star possessing it, and this man Cloud who thinks he's a frog is here to help Mario go take care of a sword that's got stabbed through a castle. You know what I mean? Like, not much to. I feel like there wouldn't be a lot that they could do to really expand upon Mario RPG in the same ways that Dead Space was expanded upon. So I don't know though. It's a very hard decision for me to make because these are both games that I love very much.
And while you think about it, I will just talk about Advance Wars super fast. So, Advance Wars is a remake of Advance Wars 1 and 2. I think they did a good job with it. It seems like it's pretty faithful remake to the originals. And it seems like they added some kind of new, not really like new, but they tweaked on some of the multiplayer features that were in there. So you have those maps, you have those characters to play as. So I think that's kind of a nice like addition that's there. How much so, I don't know. I don't really play the multiplayer stuff. It's there if you like it. I don't know. I don't know. Again, this probably falls into who plays this game for multiplayer. I don't know. I'm sure somebody does. So, but what they have in there, pretty. I mean, I think what was it, Brandon? This is my second most played game of the year. I think when we were going through that list. So, and it wasn't really even for trying. It's just there's so much there. So, I mean, it was a really kind of beefy game. And I still have stages that I haven't played yet, but I, played through the credits of both games. So, yeah, I think it's great. I think this kind of falls into, it's more similar to Metroid Prime, where, it's a great, remaster, remake, but I just don't think they really hit home with new content. At least nothing compelling for someone that's going to play primarily single player. I'm sure maybe the multiplayer content's more compelling. This game also kind of suffered from that whole weird delay thing. So didn't really help it. I don't think it necessarily really affects it in this category, but they just kind of like dropped it out just very unceremoniously. They're like, here's a game. Like, okay.
And they were trying to be quick until another world event happened.
Yeah.
They're like, is the coast cleared? No wars are happening? Bang. No problem.
Fuck. We fucked up.
Oh shit, we gotta go back. They gotta stop making Advance Wars, because didn't the first time it came out, didn't like 9/11 happen, and they were like, oh shit, we gotta delay it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it came out like what was it, the day before 9/11 or something?
Game's cursed.
It was right around that
Game
time.
Game is cursed. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure.
So yeah, but I mean, look, solid game. Definitely lots of stuff to put in there, but I think we were talking about the other ones were stronger. I would probably lean towards Mario RPG taking this category.
Hey, let's go.
I would be fine with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have no fight. I have no fight against it, only because like I both love Dead Space and Mario RPG so much that it's like you can't make me pick one of my children.
Yeah, so I would go Mario RPG. It's the original is one of my favorite games of all time. I think they did an excellent job on the remaster. I like the new content that they added. I wish that they added more difficulty. Just kind of like maybe like a hard mode for like the regular game. But the challenge boss stuff that they added afterwards, definitely much harder than say anything that the original game ever even could remotely dream of. So that stuff's great. And just a lot of character, and it's probably, I think, I'm just gonna spoil this right now, I think it's the best soundtrack of the year. Like absolutely, like I love the soundtrack for this game. So
no,
you don't have to agree. I'm just telling you that's where I am.
I know. You didn't play enough.
Best soundtrack is gonna be a wild ride, only because it's gonna. Oh, there's so much.
Dude, I'm fighting for like 3 things. It's impressive how good the music was this year.
So, so that's where I go with Mario RPG. What are the thoughts for runners up by that? I guess where are we? Are we gonna do Dead Space, Resident Evil, or are we gonna do Dead Space and Metroid?
I feel like Dead Space and RE4 is perfectly fine.
Sure, I'm fine with that. All right, so best remake remaster goes to Mario RPG with runners up Dead Space and Resident Evil 4. All right, next category, best artistic approach. So this is kind of talking about specifically like graphical style. Nominees are Bomb Rush, Cyberpunk, Bayonetta, Cereza and the Lost Demon, Alan Wake 2, Street Fighter 6, Hi-Fi Rush. There
you go. Okay.
Yep.
I only did not play 2 of these, Alan Wake and Bayonetta. But if I remember correctly, Bayonetta's like
storybook
style.
Painted. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I guess what's kind of tough about this one is both Bomb Rush and Hi-Fi Rush. Same. Well, names very similar, art style also
very similar.
Very similar. Although one's more
anime, and the other one is literally a Dreamcast game.
Yeah, I was gonna say one's literally more inspired by something that already exists.
Yep.
And
well, they both are, because I mean, anime exists.
Does it?
Wait, hold on.
So. Anime, I see what you're saying. Hi-Fi Rush to me more so felt like I was watching a Saturday morning cartoon. Specifically, like, was it fucking 4Kids? Like a 4Kids?
So, I'm gonna hit you with my thoughts on Hi-Fi Rush for a second.
Yeah.
When you literally have a boss fight that fights me using JoJo poses, I'm not gonna say it's not anime.
You're not wrong. First of all,
also,
who are you talking to?
By the way,
who are you talking to?
Hold on. By the way, right? If you change the voice acting to Japanese, that's Dio's voice actor.
Fucking Christ! It's always Dio. Oh my god!
Isn't that great?
I've avoided JoJo brain rot for so long just to get drugged right back into it.
It's okay. Now's a great time because everyone hates JoJo right now.
Well, yeah, because
Stone Ocean was just Stone Ocean was just. I mean, it's fine, but damn, Netflix really destroyed that show.
It's fine. Hopefully, the next one would be Steel Ball Run.
Yeah, I don't know how the fuck they're gonna make that.
Basically, just as a affront against the Lord. But anyway,
well, good thing that he's a main character.
Played Street Fighter 6. Love Street Fighter 6 art style. It's very nice.
It's so
yeah.
It's so streetwear. Street Fighter 6 is literally streetwear the art style.
Street Fighter 6 is hype beast the video game.
It is.
Yeah. I I also don't know how I feel about Alan Wake 2 being in this because a lot of it's FMV.
Oh, so my main reason for this is because it so perfectly skirts the line between having live action playing at the same time as playing in a 3D character space, as
Yeah.
well as using lots of silhouettes and other such things to perfectly encapsulate the sort of like detective noir story going on.
Okay.
And the artistic approach that they took by doing that and having it jump between real people when you're profiling people, like and trying to like do like case studies on them and everything, as well as real people when they're having like conversations in your head. That really added to like the dreamlike scape, because it kind of made it so it just like shadowed everything around you, and then you were like having your inner thoughts, but your inner thoughts was played by actual live action people, which was incredible and a really smart and cool artistic approach to things. That was my reasoning for putting that here.
Okay.
Out of all of these, I would say it probably deserves to be on here the least amount, but I did think that that was a really neat way that they handled that aspect to make a dreamlike space feel real, because they brought in actual live action actors for it. And I thought that was super neat.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can absolutely drop Alan Wake 2. I was just trying to help fill out this category more,
For sure.
because at the time I think there were only 3 things on here. So
Yeah.
that's the main reason I put that on there.
That's fair.
But I mean, Street Fighter 6, like I said, I love the like street punky, streetwear, hype beast look of Street Fighter 6,
No,
and how
very
they
good.
nailed it so much. It like transcends just the actual like world design, and goes into like the actual fighting style and like the way like the hits land and everything. It has a real impact, and the whole game like bleeds street, more or less,
Yeah, they really went heavy with the street on this one.
Yeah.
Heavy-handed.
Yeah. Yeah. Out of these, you probably already know my pick for at least 2 of them. My other thoughts are, I mentioned it loosely during Bomb Rush, but I think during the start of this, but I think Bomb Rush Cyberpunk actually encapsulated the Jet Grind Radio, Jet Set Radio, future, and everything perfectly in every way, shape, and form.
So this might be a hot take, and you might actually drive to my home and murder me for this, Brandon. I feel like Bomb Rush Cyberpunk is the rare occasion where the student surpasses the teacher.
I do think
no,
hold on. I'm gonna say something real quick, because I do want to interrupt you now on purpose.
Fair.
I think it's because the students of this game cared so much about the game that they were attempting to emulate, that they did it so well, that because we haven't had another game in that series, due to the fact that those games came out so long ago, they were able to surpass them just because of the sheer like technology leaps that we have now, and also like the game design leaps that we've had as well. So I do agree with you, but I don't think it's necessarily because of the fact that Sega couldn't do that with a new Jet Set Radio. I think it's because Sega hasn't tried to do that with a new Jet Set Radio.
We'll see.
And instead we got those fans that were so they wanted a Jet Set Radio so bad that they said, fuck it, I'll do it myself. And they really made it.
This game hits all of the right notes for me in all of the right ways.
Yes.
I love Jet Grind Radio, Jet Set Radio,
yes,
but those games are great. The music's great, the art style is great. Mm-hmm. This is such a just fucking nail on the head inspiration from those original games. Absolutely. And it's done so well. I can't wait to see Sega do their open world one this year, because that is mind blowing, especially if they were like, hey, what if we put online in it?
Yeah, I'm so excited for that.
But like it encapsulates all the weird quirkiness of the original one
I love Jet Set Radio. There are 2 things that I live and breathe when it comes to gaming, and it's Jet Set Radio as well as No More Heroes. Those are the 2 things that I live and breathe when it comes to gaming. Now, Jet Set Radio has a massive community, like a cult like following almost. Most of that community that I've been following for the better half of 10 years is in this fucking game. And because of that, that is fucking impressive. They went to the community that loves Jet Set Radio so much, and they said, will you make graffiti designs for us? Yes, graffiti designs are made by the community of Jet Set Radio, like the fans of it. Will you make music for us? Yes, music from people like Too Mellow, who are known for their Jet Set Radio remixes and everything.
If I could, real quick, I love Too Mellow. I did not meet Too Mellow through his Jet Set Radio remixes. I met him through, he has a Chrono Trigger Jay-Z mashup album.
Okay.
That is very good.
I mean, he's good at making music.
Yeah.
As simple as that. He's actually popped up in a few of my music games that I play now, and I'm like, hey, good for you.
But yeah, no,
glad you made it.
Looking at this from a purely artistic approach, like, Jesus, they just...
Yeah, I think
so good. It's so good. The characters are so good.
They brought so many people in to the art and stuff that cared so much about the original game that's why this is on the list. That's why this is so highly on the list for me, in my opinion, because there is actual passion here from the developers, but from everyone that was involved in this. I
only played this recently and by recently I mean like since Christmas. Because I bought it when I was like, oh, I forgot, I have to play this year because I specifically wanted to talk about it on Game of the Year with you guys. So I bought it and I was like, I need to play this, and the hold that game has on me. I'm taking my time with it, but it's so fun. But
it is probably exactly what I wanted. Like there were two games that came out in 2023. And one I waited a lot longer to play all the way through to the end, mostly because it released at the end of the year. And those two games were like literally tailor-made for me, and they were exactly what I wanted in every way, shape, and form. And they're fucking incredible. Both of them are. And one is Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. And you'll probably be able to guess what the other one is, because we're going to keep talking about both of them throughout the rest of this fucking list.
But yeah, so go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, so I mean, I think on my side of things, where do I think things are? I really like the look of Bayonetta. Obviously, I put it on the list. I agree with Nick's thoughts on Alan Wake.
No, I do too. Like I said, I needed filler for this list, and I still wanted to give my reasoning for why I put it here, because I do feel like it deserves to be here, but I also feel like it's the weaker out of all of them when you look at it from a purely art, like drawing, like, coloring, like that sort of thing, like aesthetic standpoint.
What I appreciate about Alan Wake 2 is that it gives me a Sega CD vibe. You know what I mean? Like not to say that it looks like Night Trap, but like whenever I see FMV mixed in with like video game like animation, I'm just like, that's the 90s, baby. So the
thing that's so impressive with Alan Wake 2 is at times, unless it's literally going straight into like the full-on cutscene of showing live action people, it's kind of hard to tell that that's a live action person or that isn't a live action person. And I think it melded so well together that it's like, it's just damn impressive. Like graphically, if we're going like from artistic approach, Alan Wake is the graphically artistic approach game out of everything here. Everything else here is more on its main aesthetical. Is that a word? I don't know. Aesthetic merit.
I mean, it could be. If you want it to be.
Sure, it is now.
We'll just use it. It's fine.
Yeah.
So I think Street Fighter 6 looks fantastic. I think Hi-Fi Rush looks fantastic. I don't know.
Did you not play Hi-Fi Rush this year?
I did not. No.
Oh man.
I think you would love it.
I probably would. It looks like something I would like, but I have not played it. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk just doesn't quite tickle my fancy as much as the other ones. So
that's fair.
That's fair. But you got two people that it very much tickles their fancy.
It tickles more than my fancy, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah. Little wiggle.
I mean, listen, when we get to the music part of this, I counted there's a song that says the word ass 76 times. We're going to talk about that song. We're talking about that song.
There's a review that just has the lyrics to that on the Steam store.
I have the lyrics ready to go.
Oh my
because
god.
it hit me.
Let me see.
It hit me like a sleep paralysis even when I was playing the game.
Listen, I I can't believe you're right. Okay, we'll talk about that later.
But I will say, just so I'm not completely steamrolling, Mike, I do like how Bayonetta looks.
Oh yeah, it's a great looking game.
Mhm.
It kind of
I
gives
agree.
me-
I actually would be.
You know what game it reminds me of? Not Odin Sphere. Is it? No,
Oh.
it's by the same studio that
Like
as a.
Muramasa, wasn't that them? I mean, it doesn't remind me of that, but
Fuck, this is gonna bother me now. Fuck.
it kind of gives me. I mean, I would say having played through it, it kind of gives me more of like maybe like a Okami vibe from time to time. Somewhere in that like general vicinity, but
Say like Dragon's Crown, 13
Yeah,
Sentinels,
Dragon's Crown. Dragon's Crown.
yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, Dragon's
God,
Crown.
that was gonna haunt me for the rest of my night. Okay,
you're welcome.
that's the. Thank you so much, because I would have been in bed like, no, this. Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like to me. I super love that art style. It's very pleasing to look at.
You know, it actually looks like their new game. Have you seen their new one called Unicorn Overlord?
I believe. Let me see here. I don't want to lie to you, or maybe I do. I have seen this. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it comes out
It
this
reminds
year.
me of that. Yeah. I mean, it's not out yet.
It comes out in March. It looks like Fire Emblem-ish, but like not new Fire Emblem, old Fire Emblem.
You know what? We'll talk about that one. It's not game of the year, but
Yes,
yeah,
sir. Okay. Cool.
Cool.
Cool. So I do like that.
To run down here.
For sure. So I will say I do like how that looks. And I will also, this might be, I don't know if this will tickle your fancy, Brandon. I will concede on not having Hi-Fi Rush in it just because Bomb Rush Cyberpunk does the same thing, just better.
I won't.
You won't. Okay, fair enough. I tried.
Both of the rushes are in this, no matter what.
I tried.
So the thing that I like the most about Hi-Fi Rush is how perfectly the art style and the world around you syncs with the actual music.
Yeah,
and that adds to the artistic
right.
approach as well. And on top of that, you even see it happen with the beats and the FPS that your character moves at in cutscenes. And I think that's fucking incredible and such a great little touch added to the game.
You do this to me.
I'm sorry. If I see something that's actually like artistically interesting, it's staying here. That's in fact, I'd be willing to say, right? Here's the thing. I would be willing to say that Bomb Rush wins. That I'm sorry, I already explained the reason why Bomb Rush wins, and I think Nick agrees with me. It's simple as that. But I would also say that Hi-Fi Rush and Series and the Lost Demon are better than the other two, aesthetically wise.
Yeah, that's for sure. For sure.
I do think like the whole storybook, like whimsical look and like the watercolors added to it really add to its artistic to the point where it should be up here higher than the other two games easily. So
I agree.
I think all three of them should be on here. I think Bomb Rush should win, and I think Bayonetta and Hi-Fi Rush are second place and third, respectively. I don't really care in what order, but they're there.
Yeah. Man, I also will agree with you on that. Bomb Rush for me is just it tickles my brain in the right way.
How much did you put into that game?
Oh man, am I even logged it on Steam on this computer? Let me see. Oh man,
I could probably see, right?
I'm updating Steam.
Hold on, I can just check.
Not good.
Not 3 hours, bro.
That does not sound right. Actually, what?
3 hours.
There's no way.
It says 3 hours, and it also says you have no achievements.
Sounds about right for Nick.
Absolutely not. Because I'm through. Right. Listen. I understand, but before you crucify me, I have gone through multiple areas in that game, and I've defeated multiple things. So that sounds silly. I don't agree with that.
What area were you last in?
I don't remember.
You know, there's like 10 areas, right?
For sure.
The game is like 20 hours long, right?
Yes, that does not feel right. That time clocking, because it says 3 hours on my Steam right now.
You have no achievements.
That doesn't feel right.
You have no achievements.
That does not feel right.
Did you play this?
Did you play it on something else?
Steam Deck.
Oh.
So I don't know if it's like not.
Turn on your Steam Deck and sync it and see
It's
if
not.
it's not syncing correctly.
I have not charged the Steam Deck in a week, so it is definitely dead.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know about
Yeah,
that one,
it
Chief.
says like past 2 weeks, 0 hours.
Well, yeah, for sure. In the past 2 weeks.
Okay. Oh, you know what? I don't even care. I still say that's the winner.
It's weird. Yeah, no, I'm with that.
So where
Anyway.
are we at?
Bomb Rush followed by Bayonetta and Hi-Fi Rush.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
All right. Best artistic approach goes to Bomb Rush Cyberphone. The runners-up, Bayonetta, Cereza and the Lost Demon, and Hi-Fi Rush. Next category, Best Surprise.
Hell yeah, brother.
So nominees here are El Paso Elsewhere, Bayonetta, Cereza and the Lost Demon, Super Mario RPG, F-Zero 99, Metroid Prime Remastered, RoboCop Rogue City. And for listeners, there's not really any set criteria as to why a game may be a surprise, just that it was a surprise for some reason or another. So, there you are.
I already know mine for this one. Like my number one answer for this one.
I've got two that are like my number one, and I don't know what the fuck to fight for.
You're welcome
Okay.
for one of them, by the way.
I'm going. You know what? The interesting thing about that is, after you told me about that, and you're like, "Have you played this?" It was then gifted to me for Christmas by one of my friends.
Weird how I manifested that for you.
I know, and then I played through the entire fucking game. So I'll tell you the reason why it's here for Best Surprise. I knew going into El Paso Elsewhere that this game was an indie version, basically, of Max Payne. What I didn't know was how interesting the world building would be, as well as the fact that it would have its own hip-hop inspired soundtrack, completely written and performed by the person that made this game and sung by the main character.
Yup.
That is fucking incredible, and it blew my mind the first time I heard it, because it is so edgy that it fits perfectly.
I don't know if I mentioned it the first time I told you guys about El Paso Elsewhere, but it's the same studio that made Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator.
Yes, you did mention that.
They are also currently making another game. Let me see here, just so I can get it right. But basically, it's like a kidnapping simulator. They make a lot of funny, weird shit. They have a hotel for aliens, or an airport for aliens currently run by dogs.
Oh, I want to play that one. I haven't seen that before.
A funny story behind that is that they were just like, they used PNGs of dogs.
Yes.
To be in place of the aliens, and they're like, why not just make this the game? Damn, they don't have anything on their website about it right now. But no, so El Paso Elsewhere was not a surprise for me because I already knew it was a thing.
I had no idea the music was going to slap so hard, and that it was going to be so edgy, hot topic-y vibes with like a noir horror.
You know what it feels like? It feels like if you ever listened to the rap group Clipping, El Paso Elsewhere feels like I'm playing a Clipping album.
I don't know what that is, but I have to look into it now. So
I will. Yeah, it's very much like
link me some of their albums later.
Yes, I will do that. There's probably like 3 people who listened to us who understood what I just said.
Mm-hmm.
But it's very like edgy, kind of like horror.
There's a song in this that plays while traveling through an underground world that's being manipulated by your brain because you're like having essentially a fucking OD, more or less, while dealing with having to have a ex-girlfriend who is a vampire queen who is trying to bring about the end of the world, and the world turns into a meat canyon, like meat holes and all this other stuff, and the song that plays is from the point of view of an ice cream man who serves human-made ice cream, and I was just like, this is okay.
Listen, man,
this is
amazing. So far, everything I've played from that studio, banger. It's just weird banger after banger.
I gotta check out the rest of their stuff, because this game was so good.
It is very good. I knew it'd be right up your alley because, like you said, it's like an indie Max Payne.
It is.
But also just fucking weird. Just very fucking weird.
The level that was entirely made out of toilets, that one was like, what? Okay. All right, cool. And then they had like random like werewolves that would jump at you from underneath the stalls. I was just like, this is wild.
The creator of the game of the studio showed up to the Game Awards this year in a complete head to toe set. Like it was a suit, but it was like a Christmas themed suit.
Of course, he did.
It was very good. But I'm so glad you liked that.
I loved it.
It's weird. It feels like the first time I recommended you a game.
Yeah, honestly, it really was. And I will say a few things about it that holds it back just a little bit. And I would say it being 50 levels, it really didn't need to be. At level 30, I was like, okay, we're good. We're good now, more or less.
It's a bit of a marathon. Yeah, it's a bit of a marathon.
It kept pushing. And I was like, okay, I see where we're going. I get it. I already know what's going to happen here. And I did have one glitch, but other than that, like this game was just really fun to play through. It was just enjoyable, like start to finish, even though it dragged a little bit near the middle. But I loved it. And I think it was more of just the way it was built that made me love it more and why it was such a big surprise because of the fact that it had that weird soundtrack. It was like gangster rap. And it was like, what am I listening to? Yeah. But I loved it so much. Yeah.
Personally, for me on this list, my biggest surprise or best surprise, whatever you want to call it, was Super Mario RPG.
Yeah, because it exists.
Because for one, it exists. Yeah, I mean that was a game that I thought was always going to be caught in copyright hell for eons, and I would have never expected like on a long enough timeline, right? I feel like all of these games exist.
Yeah.
Right. So like obviously Metroid Prime was going to get a remaster eventually. It's a huge game, right?
There's another one I will be talking about very soon, though. Even though you were saying it exists, I think you just underestimate what I'm going to talk about just after this. So,
hi, RoboCop.
Oh, absolutely. It's absolutely.
Which, again, very much so a surprise for a tie-in. I don't want to call it a movie tie-in because it's not really a movie tie-in, but like a tie-in to a universe that is
talk about Super Mario
specifically.
RPG, so you mind if I just interrupt real quick and
give
you a quick rundown of RoboCop?
Yeah, tell me about RoboCop.
All right, so the thing that I think was the most interesting about RoboCop is you actually felt like the weight of everything, be it the fact that like the game had you deal with a lot of psyche kind of like mind bending elements where it's like you are a human but you're also an android and you're kind of like skirting the line between those two, so you actually get to make choices that push the way people view you as either being a human that's there to help them or an actual heartless robot, more or less. And I thought that was a really cool aesthetic to this RoboCop game where they had this choice system that actually made it feel like those moments mattered, and the way that people reacted to you based on what you did was super cool and also made you feel like, okay, I don't want to act like a heartless robot, even though I have the choice of doing that. Or maybe I do with this one person, that sort of thing. So it kind of humanized not only RoboCop, but even like some of the villains in a way that didn't feel forced. Like some of the bad guys were just like drug addicts that kind of got completely fucked over because they were introduced to this super highly addictive substance that they can't really control because it's taken over their life and that sort of thing. And there was like an entire stage that I played in RoboCop where I helped this one homeless guy who was also a drug addict, and he just wanted me to help him find a movie videotape. So we went into what was essentially like a Blockbuster, and the entire thing was me scanning around in this movie store to help him try and find this movie. And he was telling me about all these films he's watched and how he likes movies and everything. And I basically gave him the option of being like, hey, you could just turn over a new leaf. You could be like a movie reviewer, or you could like talk about films in some way, shape, or form, or you could even try to become like someone that would make films because you seem to understand them. And it's like humanizing him. And then you find out the only reason you're looking for that tape is because there was a bunch of money that was stolen from someone that was stashed in it, and he overheard another gang talk about it, and he wanted to get the money so they could buy a bunch of drugs. So then you have the option of being like, oh, okay, I guess I can either let you off the hook, or I could be like, yeah, no, that's not okay. I'm going to take the money because this is evidence. And based on what you did, it actually changed up the entire way this character viewed you. And it was like a super interesting thing that felt like what Fallout wants to do, but is not very good at doing it. You know what I mean? And I felt like this game did it a lot better than like those AAA games. And on top of that, the use of Unreal Engine 5 enhanced the actual gameplay to the point where it was like not like, oh, this is Unreal Engine 5 and I could definitely tell how fake this looks and oh yeah, it looks pretty, but blah 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 blah. They like made the game really grungy, really dirty, really disgusting. They didn't like take a step away from showing the horrors of the Detroit in this game's world and that sort of thing. And I like that a lot because even though you had the clean aesthetic of the lighting and this, it kind of had a backdrop where it was like super grungy and disgusting, and it wasn't afraid to show you that. And for a RoboCop game, in a first-person shooter, you would expect to still be able to do things like you would in normal first-person shooters, but because you are a fucking cyborg and you're a huge fucking like, you know, a robot more or less, you don't sprint in this game. And I like that aspect of it. It's not like a Call of Duty game where you're just sprinting and grabbing people and fucking like choke slamming them or shit like that. You actually feel like the weight to RoboCop when you're like moving. You even hear like the clanking of his feet and everything, and it's like super cool. And as you use like circuit boards to enhance your character from the like robot aspect, you make it so that you can change up the way you fire, like make it so your finger can pull the trigger even faster by changing up your brain patterns and this sort of stuff. And that's how they introduced like character leveling in this game. And all those things came together to form a fantastic game that cared about the source material so much so that they took the worst RoboCop movie and they rewrote it entirely and retconned it, and it made sense and it was way better.
I think for me, the biggest surprise that
incredible
in the year 2023 of our Lord, people go RoboCop, and there's other people who go, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's why that one's on this list for me. I fell in love with this game. This was another game that was given to me for Christmas from a friend, and I've loved every step of the way. But like the characters as well as the world building, and then just in general the way you interacted with those characters and the world around you. And the gunplay was really, really fun as well. So, and it was different. It wasn't like your normal like run and gun first person shooter. It had weight to it, and it felt like the kind of game you would have if you were playing like a RoboCop game. And I thought it was super neat, and that's why that one's one of my biggest surprises. We can jump back over to Super Mario RPG now, because I'm sure we all have something to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think I put it on this. Well, not I think I know why I put it on this list, and it was really because, I mean, this game kind of came out of nowhere. Yeah, if you remember, they didn't announce this until June, and they're like, "Hey, coming out, you know, for November, you know what it is." And I kind of, I guess, jokingly speculated that, you know, with as much as Square has been remaking things lately, it seemed like this would be like a prime thing. We didn't see it on the Switch yet, even though pretty much everything else for the Super Nintendo that was notable had been out. So, well, at least, you know, on the NSO, like Nintendo's like big kind of stuff that had already been there. So, and it had been on the other services, so it was strange that it was just kind of absent here all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So, and then just to see them kind of go through it, you know, not only remake it, but add in the extra content in there and, you know, give it a really nice fresh coat of paint. I think that's why I think that one deserves to be on this list. It was a very nice surprise for this year. What other things do I have on here? F-Zero 99.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, nobody expected F-Zero anything. And then they're like, hey, here's an F-Zero Battle Royale game. And they're like, oh, that's cool. That was pretty cool. Yeah, so it'll let you kind of go through, replace Pac-Man 99 when they kind of retired that. But you get to go through and you get to kind of have a lot of fun in the... I don't know, they made like the Super Nintendo F-Zero actually fun. Like, usually I hate that game quite a bit. Not as much as like Metroid NES, but the original F-Zero for the SNES was, I think it was a launch title or close to it.
It was and I'm kind of there with you. I kind of didn't like it that much.
Yeah, it was not a super exciting game. Great way to show off Mode 7, but I mean, really, it was not like that incredible. But I feel like this kind of brings up the amount of action closer to, you know, what they had been doing on the N64 and GameCube. Just a lot more going on the screen, a lot more to keep you entertained, a lot more challenge and risk and reward. So, yeah, I think that's why that's there. Metroid Prime Remastered I put there partly because of the Metroid Prime 4 hype and the fact that Nintendo just was like, hey, after the Direct today in this March of last year, they're like, here's the new Metroid Prime Remaster. We went through and fixed all the
Yeah.
graphics up. Nice surprise, like we were talking about, they didn't really go through and address a lot of kind of the features or, playability aspects of it, but a really solid remaster that just kind of came out of nowhere. So that's where that surprise aspect is there. Bayonetta, Cereza, and the Lost Demon. So that one really is, we know what Bayonetta is. It's kind of, more like a action, combo kind of based game. And then all of a sudden they're like, hey, here's a story-based pseudo Zelda puzzle game. And they're like, oh, that's not Bayonetta. But it does a surprisingly good job of like fitting in that universe and, filling a new niche, I guess, to kind of expand on it. Yeah, no, the game was just a lot of surprise because it was not the genre you were expecting it to be. It kind of started out as like, or at least they kind of teased it as like a unlockable kind of area in the Bayonetta 3, and then they're like, oh, by the way, it's a real game, and it's coming out in like 2 months. So that was a surprise. And it differentiates itself from the core like Bayonetta experience like pretty significantly, but it also integrates itself well into that universe that expands on it. This is one of those games where it definitely has some issues, but I think it really could benefit from a sequel because I think it could do very well building on it. I don't remember if there's anything else I had to say. It was just a very charming game. So I don't know. Those are my additions to the list.
Okay.
I think that's all the games for Best Surprise, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. All right. So where are we at? Easier to chip away or easier to add anything on the list?
I don't know.
So I will say I feel like one that should super be in the 3 that we decide from is Mario RPG.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Like, that should be one that's in there. Not that I'm the biggest Bayonetta fan, but I was shocked to see another Bayonetta game announced so soon.
Yeah,
yes, that's true too. It was just not even half a year after Bayonetta 3.
RoboCop being good is definitely a surprise.
I also explained the reasons why it was good.
No,
it's a better Fallout than Fallout.
What I'm saying is, I'm like, so there's been, especially with like the genre of like, let's take old movies and make them games. Like there was that Predator game that was like really shit.
Yeah.
And the what was the other game that came out recently that was really fucking stupid? Damn it, the big gorilla.
Oh, King Kong. Yeah.
King Kong. That was shit.
So this game is made by the same team that I believe made Terminator Resistance, which is also a very good game. So they seem to just take source material of games that they like, and of content that they like, and then pump out bangers, and then only make a bunch of shovelware titles so they can get the money to make the games they want to make. And you know what? I'm down for it. I'm down for it. If that's
Listen, how do you get your bag, man? Whatever.
Like, here's what they made before.
I'm looking them up right
Resistance. Now. Yeah.
I'm looking them up right now. Let's see. Wikipedia. Jesus Christ. What? Are you serious? So I'm just going to name games that I know real quick. RoboCop Rogue City.
Yep.
Terminator Resistance. I remember seeing that one.
Yep.
Rambo the video game.
That was bad.
Very bad.
That's pretty much where you stop, to be completely honest.
No, wait, hold on. Let
him cook.
I probably have seen Flora shop for the Nintendo DS.
So the one thing that I know a lot of people have seen, Urban Trial Playground or Urban Trial Freestyle, which is a Trials knockoff that is sold for like $2 on the Switch eShop like every week. What
is happening here?
This developer makes like knockoff bullshit games, and then they get the money from those knockoff bullshit games, and then they make games they actually want to make. That's basically what it is. Bunch of shovelware, and then they make the games they actually want to make.
Okay.
Yep.
For sure. Good for them.
They definitely are very good when it comes to making something that they want to make. That is what I've realized. Otherwise, they just pump out as much shovelware as humanly possible, and
They
then
definitely
make
wanted
as
to
much
make the
money as they can.
101 Pet series because they did not stop.
I don't think they wanted to make that, but I think it was giving them a bag.
They wanted, so just for sake of just seeing what they did, for all of 2007, it was some game called Burn, 1001 mini golf challenge, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 501 pets games ranging from pony, dino, bunny, kitty, and puppy.
And then in 2009, dinos, dolphins, penguins, otter, shark, and seal.
They also had a Egypt phase towards the end of 2007. They had Jewel of the Nile, Dynasty of Egypt, and Crystal Caverns of Amun-Ra. And honestly, I understand because I watched The Mummy with Brendan Fraser a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, yo, Egypt's cool as shit. So, you know what? Go
I
off.
do love Egyptian shit. Yeah.
Go off. Mahjong Platinum, Mahjong Championship.
Mm-hmm.
Another mini golf game. 1001 Crystal 1001 Blockbusters.
Yep. 101 Pinball World.
They just have a man in there finding 1001 touch games. That's
Bro,
incredible.
This guy is just straight up fucking printing money with bullshit and then making
I'm sorry,
games he wants.
You said they make bullshit? The classic Hubert the Teddy Bear backyard games?
My bad. I'm sorry.
And Hubert the Teddy Bear Holiday Island? Birdmania?
Don't forget Wizard Defenders.
The classic...
Incredible.
Party Planet 30-in-1 Game Collection Volume 1, and then 2 years later we get 30-in-1 Game Collection Party Volume 2. Don't know if it's Party Planet, because it's not called Party Planet, but it is Volume 2. They dropped the Party Planet name, but kept the Volume 2.
Licensing issues.
And both of them, they lost the license to Party Planet. Chat-A-Lot for 3DS? Come on, banger.
Absolute.
Banger. I looked up Chat-A-Lot, and I get Chat-A-Lot 3DS review, 4 out of 10. I also get looks like a daycare in the Bronx, New York. So
okay, that's got to be the.
It looks
game,
sketchy. Right? I would not leave anybody's child there, let alone my own. Incredible. That's wild. Good for them. Good for them for making good RoboCop.
Yep.
Yeah. Things I would scrap from this list: Metroid Prime Remastered.
Yep.
So.
Okay. Yeah. Honestly, it doesn't surprise me. It seems like something that is inevitable, especially when they're trying to get the hype up for whatever they're doing next with Metroid Prime. So
here's the thing: I feel like F-Zero 99 should be on this list.
Yeah.
Like in the top 3.
I agree.
Easily. Because here's the thing: F-Zero 99. Where were the other 87 of them? You know what I mean?
I have to play F-Zero 1 through 98 to understand 99.
Yes, you do.
What?
It's critical for this game.
Damn it! Especially the plot twist at F-Zero 34. Cannot miss that.
Yeah.
No, it makes sense for me for that to be on this list. I think I don't think anyone could have predicted this.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone could have predicted a F-Zero, like Nintendo even giving a fuck about F-Zero enough to do another game, period. And then for them to be like, hey, here's a Battle Royale game that's actually pretty decent.
I think F-Zero being on this list is on this list for the same reason that Mario RPG is on this list, and that's just for the sheer fact that the IP exists still.
I really want, out of all of these, out of my picks, because the 2 you guys already have in blue, those are the ones that I would have on this list no matter what. So out of everything else, Nick, do I go music or do I go actual I can't believe this is good?
So in my mind, right, you're looking at, realistically 2 indie titles, right? But realistically, you're looking at, I know you're going between El Paso Elsewhere and RoboCop Rogue City.
That's my...
If you take all the information I know about both of these games out of my head. Yeah. If you put El Paso Elsewhere in front of me, RoboCop Rogue City, I would be more inclined to play El Paso Elsewhere just for the sheer fact that it's an original IP that I've never heard of before.
But what would you be more surprised by?
I would be more
the fact that RoboCop
surprised.
isn't garbage.
Yes, I'd
Yeah.
be more surprised that somebody
That's
made a RoboCop
really good
game
RoboCop game.
in
Yeah.
2023,
Yeah.
and it was not shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's
I mean,
fair.
not only that, but it's actually really good.
I feel like
it actually does things way better than most AAA developers.
I call. How about this?
Way less budget.
How about this? El Paso Elsewhere, pleasant surprise. RoboCop, whoa! You know, there's no that's kind of how that sits for me.
Yeah.
Because you play random indie game throughout the year with.
You're gonna find some good random indie
You're gonna
games out
find
there.
you can put a dartboard with indie games up, throw a dart randomly, and find something good, right?
Yeah, I got like 6 of them for
in a
2023.
million fucking years. If you threw me into a GameStop and you put me on the wall of games and you see RoboCop Rogue City, I'm looking at that shit and be like, get the fuck out of my face.
Get
I'm not
this
playing that.
Very
Garbage
true.
title out of here. You know what?
I'm
agree.
not playing
you know
that.
what? Yeah, RoboCop Rogue City is gonna
RoboCop
be
Rogue City sounds like a game I gotta put my Wii Remote nunchucks into a gun controller and shoot like Rogue.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
That's really good. That's excellent defense for that, I feel like.
So I do feel like the winner is
If
Super
you
Mario
were describing
RPG.
things, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
What's
no,
that?
you're right. I said I feel like the winner is Super Mario RPG easily. So that's because it
Yeah, I'm
exists.
cool with that. Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
Yeah.
All
Were
right.
you gonna fight for something else?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, all right,
I think
all
I
right.
had lots of threads, but I didn't have anything that I really was like, oh yeah, this is definitively
Yeah,
the best
yeah.
surprise. Like
I
there's
mean-
lots of great surprises this
Yeah.
year. So yeah, no, I'm fine with that. So yeah, best surprise goes to Super Mario RPG with runners up F-Zero 99 and RoboCop Rogue City. All right,
I'm so excited for this one.
I'm sure you are. Biggest disappointment. Let's see what we got here. Starfield, AEW Fight Forever, Redfall, Fire Emblem Engage, and Final Fantasy 16. So a lot of big names out here.
I'm so happy
This
that
year.
some of these games are on this list so that other games don't have to take the L. I know, Brandon, you hate FF16.
I do very much so.
But in its company right now,
Yeah.
are some real stinkers.
Oh yeah, I know. But
So-
here's the question: what disappointed us the most, as opposed to what were we expecting to be a real stinker?
I know, and I feel like that's kind of the tricky thing with
and
this.
that is
because-
why 16's on this list.
Yeah, and I feel like too, really, I mean, I would fight for Fire Emblem Engage to be in the top 3, but I think compared to Starfield and Final Fantasy 16, like there's
Yeah.
no way it could win.
Yeah.
Like, because I feel like it's kind of one of those, like, the bigger you are, if you don't,
Yeah.
do what you need to be doing, and you're hyped to all hell, that's like the next comment.
And you know what? I think so. Obviously, Starfield belongs on this list.
Obviously Starfield is like number 1 for me.
Here's the thing. Now, wait a minute. Now, let's walk it back a little bit.
Okay.
Let's walk it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Did we expect much from Starfield? I sure as hell did not.
Fuck.
I think my thing is though, like, I expected it to be good, like not like great, not like excellent. I expected it to be good. Like,
Here's my thing. Good was never on the radar for me. Starfield for me was always going to be Little Caesars Hot and Ready. It's hot and it's ready. Good was never part of the equation.
but you know what? The crazy bread carries the pizza.
Correct.
Really.
No, correct. The unfortunate part is there is no crazy bread here. The problem with
The only creation engine.
the reason why I say Starfield should not be it should not be a surprise that Starfield's a disappointment, only because you're like, hey guys, here's this new game we just made. We're using the same engine from 20 years ago that we've been patching and fucking puttying back together. We put a little bit of what's that guy Phil Swift? What's that tape that he sells?
Tape?
Yeah, we've been flex sealing the same fucking engine for the past 20 years. Like, what's it? Ty Howard comes out on stage. He's like, guys, there's better lighting in it now, global lighting. And you get into Fallout 4, and you're like, Tom, what the fuck are you talking about? This looks like shit.
How much of Starfield did you play?
None of it.
Okay, so I put in 48 hours.
I'm so sorry.
So
That's
let me
2 days, bro.
let me explain.
You know what you can
my
do in
reasoning.
2 days?
Hold on. Let me explain my reasoning for why Starfield is a huge disappointment.
Okay.
All right? Because I understand what you're saying. Right? But here's the thing. I played it. And you know what? The first 6 hours, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty, really good, actually. And then you start to realize everything this game just taught you doesn't matter, and in some cases doesn't work. And that, I think, is when I had my biggest disappointment. I spent 6 hours learning how to build ships, maintain them, build them exactly the way I want, design them how I want. I made like a fucking Ava pattern ship. It looked fucking awesome. I had all the walls and everything the way I wanted it. It was designed awesomely. And then I realized there is literally no reason to ever use your fucking ship in this fucking game.
Oh, because ship combat sucked dick?
Yes.
Because they were
But
like,
not
hey,
only that, I can explore my ship. I can put things in my ship. I can do this, that, and the other about my ship. But why would I? And that's what I realized the more I went into the game. This stuff that it has here, there's a lot of really, really good elements here. The gunplay, very good. Very good.
I can tell you why that is. I can tell you why the gunplay is good.
Machine Games?
Because Machine Games was like, hey, guys, we got you. Listen, have you played a little game called Wolfenstein?
Listen,
we got you.
All right, hold on. I have to say this. I have to be completely transparent. I have 2 friends that work for Machine Games.
Listen,
so I'm just
going to be transparent
about that.
If you have seen them in person, if you meet them in person, hug them for me. I like what they do.
They come on my streams often. I haven't seen them in person.
Why would you tell me that?
They're over. they're overseas. They work overseas.
You doing hot tub streams?
No,
so the thing is, Starfield for me was like going to a taint kicking convention and then me coming out and like, you're not gonna believe what those fuckers did to me.
But I actually played it, and you know what? Okay, so here's the thing, right? I'm gonna build something for you, and I've been alluding to this since I played Starfield. Like these whole 365 days a year, I've mentioned this multiple times on the podcast when I said we will get to this. There's a mission in Starfield that was super fucking cool. I was supposed to meet up with someone and end up getting a relic from them, and there were so many different ways I could approach this mission. I decided, because I had the skills and I had been grinding out for quite a while, because it's an RPG and that's what you do, I was going to take the route where I would trap them in the room, kill them, and then take the actual relic. This seemed really cool. I set everything up meticulously. It took like 15 minutes to make sure I had everything set up correctly and everything. We get there. I'm waiting for them to show up. They're here. I go inside. I've made sure that I hack the door so that I'll be able to remotely close the door behind me and lock them in there with me, where it's, I'm not trapped in here with you, you're trapped in here with me, sort of. And I was like, I'm super excited for this. This sounds hype, doesn't it? Doesn't this sound hype? This sounds kind of cool, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right. As I'm about to do the thing, as I'm about to murder this man and just take the relic, my companion stands up next to me and goes, "That's not like you. We shouldn't do that.
You don't do
me. This.
Then you
don't want to do this. I don't have the option of doing the thing I just spent 15 minutes setting up because the whole thing was faked." And that happened so often in Starfield that it infuriated me. And the further I went into this game, the more I got disappointed, because there were so many cool elements here, and there were so many cool things that I did just for the game to rip them away from me and be like, we don't do it that way. Did I smuggle stuff in and actually hide it inside my cargo bay and thought I'd be able to travel across galaxies and sell stolen equipment because that felt like a thing that I could actually do because they made it seem like I could do that? You're damn right I did. Did I end up soft locking myself by doing this because it was actually a thing that the game wasn't built to be able to handle, but I did it anyway? You're also damn right I did. Did I spend 48 hours on this game all in one save? Nope, it was 3. 3 different characters that all felt very much the same, because the character fucking tree is actually just a suggestion and really doesn't work.
I feel like after this game came out, somewhere in the universe, somewhere on the planet Earth, Sean Murray was sitting at a desk, and he was just like, "Eat my dick, Todd Howard," because they just could not. Like,
Yeah.
a studio 18 times the size of Hello Games could not make a good space exploration. Now,
Can
mind
I tell
you,
you something else that
Yeah,
also
yeah, for
super
sure.
disappointed me?
For
Because
sure.
there's a reason why this is on biggest disappointment, and I think
Yeah.
I'm at least starting to fill out the reasons why, and you're starting to understand. Like from what I've explained, there's some elements here where it's like it sounds like that would have been really cool, that would have been super interesting, but the game is just like pretending to be interesting.
Yeah.
Until you see its mask slip, and then it's like, just kidding, I had you do that for no reason whatsoever. Which is why I hyped up RoboCop Rogue City so much, because when I had options, they actually meant something. And I think that was the biggest issue here, because I had options and they didn't mean anything. And then on top of all of that, a lot of things in this game seem super interesting, but then when you went to go do them in practice, they were less fleshed out than Skyrim was in 2011. And that really upset me quite a lot.
Here's my thing. I feel like they definitely bit off a lot more than they can chew, and I think ultimately it boils down to they weakened at Bernie's their fucking game engine, thinking it could do all this shit and promised that it could do all this shit without actually ever like testing it.
But I'm not.
I mean, because Todd Howard is known for doing that. Todd Howard has come out on stage and be like, "You can fucking, I don't know," like in like Fallout 4, like
go down a route. It led me down a path, and then it ripped it away from me at the last moment. The game edged me. The game literally edged me.
I'm sorry. That's incredible. I love that. I need to get you a shirt. I want to buy you a shirt. Plain black, basic, like Helvetica text. Todd Howard edged me. Because that's hilarious to think about. It's weird. It's a disappointment in the way of like this was this huge game that was hyped up to be like huge because like, oh, it's the first new IP from Bethesda in years and they're doing all this shit. But like I feel like if anybody had,
I didn't even care. The problem was
for sure
looked so interesting when I was actually playing it. It wasn't until several hours into the game that I realized this is bullshit, and I was so upset because there were so many elements there that were like, okay, I can build a ship. It's super cool. Why is the combat so bad? Oh, well, I just need to upgrade my ship. Why is the combat still so
I think
bad?
It ultimately comes down to Todd Howard was trying to be like, okay, you guys want to race in NASCAR? I have the car for you. And he wheels out this Model T that has like Lightning McQueen's graphics drawn on with like a Sharpie. You're like, this baby's going to do it. I promise you. And you're like, no, that looks kind of shaky. No, get in this bad boy.
I don't want it to be number one. I just want it in the top three.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think that's reasonable. I think
that's reasonable for sure.
Because like, me and Katie played several days together, and it took us like a whole week. Like we put in 48 hours worth of gameplay, but it took us a whole week, across that time. Put in that much gameplay, and it took us till that end of the week to be like, this isn't fun.
This is ass. I don't like this.
This is not good. And
I didn't even bother.
Yeah, I did, and that was the biggest issue. I mean, okay, so did you know? Like, here's another thing. Another reason that's like super disappointing, and it also goes back to what I said about like
the game
having things interesting happening and having it be for nothing. Did you know you are a magical space wizard in this game? Did you know that this game takes place in multiple timelines? And you're everywhere and anywhere at the same point in time, and you could technically interact with yourself according to the story of this game, which sounds super awesome. And you may have actually interacted with yourself at some point, but you thought it was a villain, but it really wasn't in this game. And it sounded super neat and super interesting. And then they don't do anything with it. And then also your magical space wizard powers, not very good. They're worse than Dragonborn powers. Also, that was never advertised. Do you guys remember when they advertised the fact that you're a magical space wizard? Because I sure as fuck don't.
I don't. I remember seeing just guns, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, you have magic powers in this game.
I thought this was just like Mass Effect.
Nope, you have magic powers in this game. Nope, You have magic powers in this game. You
Interesting.
find them from an alien that's left them behind inside of a ring similar to the Halo ring that's hidden inside of ancient alien architecture on different planets that you end up finding after you hunt them down because you were getting some kind of weird transmissions. And I thought this was all super cool and interesting elements of the story. And they did nothing with these.
Yeah, it seems like a lost opportunity.
And that's the biggest issue here, because they have something, they just like fell on their face while trying to have something, and elements of it that I thought were going to be super cool, like I was stopped. Like I went through an entire space pirate ship that had all this cool stuff, like you know, in Marvel, the guy who has like all those like trinkets from the different multiverses and everything inside of like this you get inside one of those ships in Starfield. And
like
the
a
guy's
collector.
got all like a collector. This guy's got all these cool trinkets and stuff that have like lore and all this other cool shit and everything. And you get to go inside there, and he has a piece of the ancient alien artifact that you're trying to hunt down and everything. And when you can stealth your way through and steal it, or you can fight your way through the entire ship and steal it, or you can actually like walk all the way through, like befriend the guy, end up talking with him, shooting the shit as he like walks you through a ship, showing off all of his stuff that he's gotten. And it's super neat and interesting. And then you get there and your only option is to steal it. So like why did I go through all of that if no matter what it was going to be the same outcome? I literally killed everyone on the ship, went to it, stole it, and everyone had respawned, and I had to kill them again on the way back. And it's like, what? And I had like the charisma to actually be like, hey, give me it. And he's like, nah, I can't do that. Even though I passed the skill check. There was no way to get him to give it to me. No matter what. There was no way even when passing the skill check. So it was like, why is this an RPG if it won't let me RPG? You know, and that was my biggest issue with this game. It pretended to be an RPG when it was really just a first and third person shooter with elements of RPG that didn't actually work. And I hated it. I hated it so much. This is definitely my top 3 picks for worst game, biggest disappointment of the year. Both of them. Fuck this game. There you go.
Yeah.
I went on a little bit of a rant. Sorry, I needed to explain because I knew you were like, how could you even expect this to be good? Because I played it and it looked like it was going to be.
Very fair.
Yeah.
What else we got here?
AEW Fight Forever. You guys know how hype I am about AEW and wrestling in general. This game was very fun for about 2 days, and then the content dried up, and then they didn't release any more content for about 8 months, and they didn't even announce that they were going to release more content. And it was just, it was a battle royale mode, and then they didn't release more content for like 4 more months, and it was like, all right, I don't care. And then at the very end of the year, they released like the DLC that they had planned to release in the first 4 months. And this game super disappointed me because like it was a good game, but there was nothing there to keep it like, you know, in people's eyes. Like it was the most 7, maybe 8 out of 10 wrestling game that did some interesting things and actually worked very well, but didn't have enough content to make it worth its full price. And then on top of all of that, it just kind of dried up to the point where I was mad at it existing, how much money I spent on it when there was no point. So, yeah. Redfall's bad. I played Redfall, and like the first 30 minutes of Redfall, pretty good, pretty interesting. And then like it if you want to talk about like a game that's just bad, like it would not be Starfield, it'd be Redfall. Redfall is just a bad game. There was no way to be like disappointed in this because there was nothing here. It had some interesting elements to begin with, and it definitely showed some aspects of like, okay, this could be some cool lore shit. It could be an interesting world, but then it was so broken, it was so unplayable that it was more so of just not good than a big disappointment. But I just wanted to be able to be like, yeah, Redfall sucks. All right, moving on. Mike, tell me about Fire Emblem Engage.
Sucks.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, no, this is a game that we talked about quite a few times this year because it took me forever to actually finish it because I just really did not enjoy it. I think the DLC
found
was
a way
actually
to refund it.
Yeah, I remember you saying that. The DLC I actually enjoyed quite a bit, but the big problem with this game was the gameplay itself was good. The story was just absolute trash. Like not even like just regular trash, just like immense waste your time trash. There was no characters that were remotely interesting or like relatable. Everything was just like anime overload. The story was just wildly unpredictable, but not in a good way. Like people would just do things that just don't make any sense for the story. Like their motivations didn't make any sense. The outcomes didn't make any sense. They're very good at being like, do this thing to do this, and then it just like they'd use a cutscene to just instantly take away any win that you may have just had. It was just very just disheartening like the whole way through. So I don't think there's a single character in this game that's memorable.
Do you remember most of their names?
I barely remember the main character's name. It was like Alier.
Toothpaste?
It began with an A. It was even like a normal name. Yeah. No, nothing good. And for something that's supposed to be like an anniversary, like celebration for Fire Emblem, like this was supposed to be, from my understanding, kind of like, hey, there's a celebration of 30 years of Fire Emblem. No, you just kind of shoehorned in old characters and were like, hey, look, we made him fat, and then you just sent it out to go. Like I said, I think that the gameplay itself good. Like Fire Emblem solid gameplay wise. Just anything else in there just absolutely detracts from this game. Like I don't think this game has anything else positive to say about it.
This is the way I described it. It felt like a mobile game that they charged $60 for.
Oh no.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that's it. Fire Emblem. Did you guys talk about? You didn't talk about Final Fantasy yet, right?
Nope, I'm getting there. Okay. I'm sorry. I had to take a moment after going through.
I figured you needed a second.
Yeah. All right. Final Fantasy 16. Nick, you play this?
Yes.
I'm playing through it. I'm having a hard time playing through it.
Yeah. All right. So, this is the way I would describe this game. This is Babby's first God of War. It feels like it's trying to be God of War, like the original God of War.
Okay.
The trilogy, PS3, PS2 games. It feels like it's trying to do that as well as some Devil May Cry stuff. But because of the fact that every enemy type scales to your level that you are currently at, there is practically zero challenge. And then it's essentially just a Michael Bay fight scene anytime you're in a boss battle. So there's also zero challenge there as well. And it's really pretty to look at and super interesting, but it just feels like someone dropped the pages of Game of Thrones onto the floor, and then the creator of Final Fantasy picked them up and was like, this is my script. And then that's what they did, more or less.
This is my script.
And it, on top of all of that, it's just the fact that, like, it doesn't feel challenging in the least bit. So there's no reason for me want to play this game aside from pushing the story forward. And there's really like some elements where it's like they chose some really weird design, like, oh, this bridge isn't fixed, go do this thing for these people, and it feels almost like a fetch quest at points in times, and it feels like the game is just trying to pad itself out sometimes. And when you're in the open world aspects of the game, because of the fact that those enemies are so close to your level or are your level, it just, there's no challenge to it. There's a really cool combat system here that is very Devil May Cry 5-ish, that's a lot of fun to use, but there's no reason to ever use it because of the fact that there is no challenge to this game whatsoever. And it essentially can just be played by pressing like 3 buttons and not even looking at the screen anytime there's an enemy on screen, aside for those very pretty boss fights, which, granted, they are really cool, they're super interesting, but like the gameplay outside of that and the like depth of this as a Final Fantasy game, it's not here. It feels very manufactured, and to the point where it's so westernized that I can't even tell this is a Final Fantasy game at times.
I was afraid of that because when they were showing it off initially, I was like, this seems very Game of Thronesy, and that's what they heavily leaned into.
Yes, but on top of that, they also heavily leaned into Michael Bay gigantic set pieces.
Well, yeah, that's also
there's
something
like
that they
no
did. I was
stakes
like, why?
at all. And when there are stakes, they just keep getting raised and raised and raised and raised to the point where it's like, what's the fucking point? So I don't
agree.
find any substance in Final Fantasy 16, and I think that's the thing that upsets me the most, and is the reason why I put it on this list. Because we had a most anticipated game of 2024, and we all unanimously agreed that it was Final Fantasy 16 last year.
Yeah.
It did. This
And
was
it just
not,
it fell flat.
It was not. It did not. It didn't do what I wanted it to, and it's not necessarily that what's here is bad. It's that what's here doesn't know what it wants to be.
For sure.
It has a super interesting and really good combo system, but outside of beating up a training doll, you're never going to use that combo system because there's no fucking point to it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely like I respect him for trying something, right? Like, did it work? No, not particularly.
Yeah,
but I understand what they were trying to do. Just don't do it again. And there was a lot of hype around it because of who was behind it. It was mostly the team from FF14, and like that game was great. That game was very good, especially from where it used to be, many years ago.
Yeah.
So like I think there was a lot of expectation here of like, hey, there's a good team making it. It looks good. There's a lot of cool set pieces that they showed off. I still think one of my favorite moments from last year.
That demo grabbed me instantly.
Yeah,
I bought that game
one of my
right after
favorite
I played
moments
the demo.
from last year for sure was when the Dragoon was on top of the tower making the fucking Dragoon pose, and I was like, my goodness.
It was
cool. I love Dragoons. That's my favorite class in Final Fantasy besides Black Mage. So I was like, all right, cool. Let's fucking do this.
Little did we know, those hype moments was going to be the entire game with no substance behind it.
For sure. Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part.
That it's not even okay. So like the reason why I have this on biggest disappointment is this isn't even a bad game. Like it isn't. Like some people are going to look at this game and be like, this game's fucking amazing and everything. But those same people are probably eating paste. And that's the problem with this game.
It
really insults your actual like intelligence. I feel like when I play Final Fantasy 16, I am playing a Michael Bay film mixed with Game of Thrones. And I didn't want that.
So I was going to say, I think what the main issue is, right, is if you're a long-term fan of the series, it's disappointing. It doesn't hit all the right notes.
And if you're not, it's still bad.
No, because to me, I feel like if you're not, right, it's probably still enjoyable for some people, especially people who enjoy more European-style high fantasy. Especially in the year where Baldur's Gate was slaying. Like I feel like there's a bit of a Venn diagram crossover between people who enjoyed this game and people who enjoy Baldur's Gate 3.
I actually know the crossover for this game and people that enjoyed it. Can I tell you who enjoyed this game?
Sure.
And I think it's the thing that hurts the most. So this game was massively enjoyed by people that like The Last of Us. Cinematic third-person adventure games that take very little input and have very little substance to them. I've seen so many people. You want to disagree with it?
No. So the only reason I'm saying I want to disagree with that is because The Last of Us didn't insult your intelligence like FF16 does.
Oh, Last of Us 2 did.
And no, I will say that it doesn't because there's been so many times where I'm having a fight in Final Fantasy 16 where now the game is like, I'm going to take the wheel now. This is a cinematic moment.
It's so modernized that it hurts.
Right,
it does what those first-party PlayStation third-person action-adventure games do, where it takes control away from you, or has a moment that it's just very much so, you have to walk at this speed because this is happening.
Well, I also, when I was at least, I've gone on the record saying I do not like The Last of Us 2. I think they did a lot with that game that was not very good. I like aspects of it. I like the gameplay of it for the most part. I like the set pieces. There's some story pieces I like of that game for the most part.
Yeah.
But there was never a time when I was playing that game where the game stopped me so jarringly to be like, no, this is what we're doing now. Like Final Fantasy does. At least to my memory.
That's fair. I would say I
feel like FF16 to a point fillets itself. because it's like, oh,
Yeah.
you're not getting enough from this fight. We want this fight to be choreographed in the exact way that we want it to be choreographed in.
Yeah.
So we're gonna stop this right now. You're gonna do it in this cinematic way. You're gonna enjoy it, and it's like that's not what I want from this.
They kind of did like what Rockstar did with Red Dead Redemption 2.
I didn't play Red Dead Redemption 2, so I have no frame of reference for that. But that's kind of how I feel when playing FF16. Like, and with the stream of this, there's enough there for me, right? That I'm enjoying parts of it enough to come back and be like, okay, I'll keep playing this. And then I get to a point where it does like that cinematic mode, and I'm just like, fuck. That's why I stopped playing this.
Yeah, me and Katie dropped this one. Like I think 25 hours in. I didn't finish this one, but I think that also adds to the disappointment because I went that long and I was still like, I'm good. I'm so disappointed in this that I'm done. I don't want any more of this.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why it's been such a slog for me to play it, because it'll grab me for long enough that I'll be like, okay, this is fine. And then it will remind me why I don't like it. And it's like,
have you played God of War Ragnarok?
I can't stand God of War Ragnarok.
Okay, that's kind of what this felt like also. Like, that's why I said, like, those cinematic third-person action games from, like, PlayStation, where they give you, like, 3 seconds to realize what the puzzle is, and they're like, maybe I should do that thing. And like, it feels like you have no control over the game, because the game doesn't think you are smart enough to have control over it, so it just keeps taking it away from you, or giving you the answer right away, because it's like, well, we don't want to unstimulate this person, we need to keep them going, keep them interested. But because of that, like, it just didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was Final Fantasy 16 to me, and that is why it is my pick for the biggest disappointment of 2023.
Yeah.
Well, I think Final Fantasy and Starfield need to be on this list.
For sure. And truthfully, I think, as much as it pains me to say Final Fantasy would be my number one pick, it definitely is, because I expected so much more of it.
Yeah.
So much more of it was expected. Like, for Fire Emblem, I didn't get engaged, but Fire Emblem for me has been on a steady decline for the last few.
It's okay. Neither did me or Mike. We also didn't get engaged with the new Fire Emblem Engage.
Like, so I wasn't. I didn't have too high of expectations for that.
I mean, the last one before it was Three Houses.
Three Houses was excellent.
Three Houses was great, but like that kind of stands out because before that it was Fates. Right?
Fates was great. It was still all right. Like, when you combine all three of them,
I didn't care for Fates.
Great.
Fates is good, and then before that was kind of the
remake.
Well, I was gonna say the Reawakening.
So it was Shadows of Valencia, Awakening. I love Awakening.
Awakening's sick.
Awakening. I wish they would port Awakening to the Switch.
That'd be.
I wish they'd port all three of the 3DS ones to the Switch. Valencia was actually excellent, and I think that was like critically overlooked when it came out.
Is that the one that was the remake of the one that was only in Japan?
Yeah, it was the remake of Fire Emblem Gaiden, which was like the second NES one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that was excellent. Honestly, yeah, no, I agree with you, Brandon. I think that the 3DS games were all great, and I think this was excellent. And this one was just kind of like, well, let's not do anything that anyone liked in the last 4 games, and just kind of put out a piece of shit.
Nick, it felt like a fucking gotcha game. It felt like a gotcha game.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm okay with it on or off the list. I don't know if you guys feel more compelled about the other
top
two.
3. It's top 3. It's top 3. Final Fantasy 16 is my pick for number 1, but Engage is top 3 easily.
Yeah,
Starfield
I think that settles the category then.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah. Yeah. So biggest disappointment goes to Final Fantasy 16.
Oh, that hurts.
It hurts. It hurts really bad.
With runners-up Starfield and Fire Emblem Engage. That's it.
I'm going to try to finish 16 and play through the DLC, but because I heard that the DLC is actually very good and is basically what I wanted 16 to be. So I'm really hoping that is the case.
For sure.
Yeah.
Also, we have Rebirth to look forward to this year, which looks very good. So
that is. Oh wait, we're not at that category yet.
No.
that is my most anticipated upcoming game of 2024.
Well,
But,
we'll get there. Don't worry. All right. You guys ready to wrap up this game of the year thing?
Sure.
Well, this part of Game of the Year,
Yeah.
we still have way more to go, but we'll come back
This
next
part.
week.
I said this game of the year thing, not the game of the year.
No,
thing.
we have way more to
Just
go.
this game of the year thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You guys have
anyway,
some stuff for best story because I want to talk about these games later.
We need a whole episode just for you to talk about best story for Alan Wake.
Dude,
Oh,
I would love to go through the story of Alan Wake 2. It is fucking incredible. It was written for me. It is like that special kind of meta narrative, crazy bullshit that's just like, I'm a Serial Experiments Lane fan, and this is even too much for me.
My goodness.
all right. Anyways, thank you everyone for listening to us tonight. Don't forget to check out all of our other episodes. Where are we? YouTube, Stitcher, Google, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. Also the website game-crunch.com. If you want to reach out to us, you can email us at gamecrunchcast@gmail.com. Brandon,
Hey,
any final thoughts?
I can't wait to like gush about Alan Wake 2 next week in best story. I'm so excited.
Well, it's
Yeah,
stacked up against a bunch of stinkers, so
It is,
Yeah.
but I honestly just drop them all and give it to Alan Wake 2 already. That game's a fucking masterpiece of a story.
Nick, any final thoughts for you?
No.
Okay. Well, that's it. My name is Mike Anastasia. You can find me online on Clash of Penguin there or on your favorite gaming console. And until next week, game on.
Game on.
Game.
All right. Yeah, and stay tuned for more Game of the Year stuff.
Oh, yeah.
There's more.
Yay!
Yay.
Yeah,
That was-
I'm definitely good to come back next Tuesday.
Hell
So-
yeah, let's fucking go.
All right.
Things have kind of stabilized for me, so we're
That's good.
good.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we're good.
Just come back every Tuesday. We'll be fine.
I'm working my way back. I'm definitely working my way back to that.
That'd be fun.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
It's been all right, but
I know,
so-
man. It's this dude. 2023 was awful. I didn't.
You know, what a shit stain year.
yeah.
Dude, fucking 2 heart attacks, 3 hospitalizations,
Yeah,
and shit.
I
Was
don't know if when was the last time I was on the podcast?
Like less than a month ago.
for Game of the Year, Jeff Keighley awards.
Oh yeah. So by that time, was my grandfather in the hospital or did he die by that point?
He was
I don't
already
remember.
dead.
Yeah, that happened.
Yeah, no, you had that. Yeah, you know, you gave us quite the update when we talked to you last month.
Yeah, that was fucking nuts. That was a wild ride.
It's cool. No, it's fine. We're good now.
Oh, he's back? I'm sorry.
Oh, Jesus, Brandon.
No, that's hilarious. I love that. No, very good. No, that's good.
Listen, I
That's
know
good.
your humor. I thought that would get you good.
First of all, if my zombie grandfather showed up on my door, it's on sight. I'm knocking his head clear off his shoulders. Like that's we're not doing that.
Coming soon to the CW, my zombie grandfather.
Yeah, no.